Hello and welcome to the weekly episodic, the sports entertainment show starring me, Jason Miller, and guess what? This is some really, really bad stuff we're watching right now. I know that WWE is in a transitional period, but the period is a tough one to get through. I mean, just a couple of things. I've watched SmackDown and Raw this week, and honestly, I felt like I watched the same show back to back. I mean, it had the same main event. They are in such a creative rut right now. It's funny. I actually had to look up. I had to get on my phone and look up when Hell in a Cell was, because I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew it was sometime in October, but I didn't know which weekend, because they're not even talking about it. They'll keep telling me which song is, featuring that it's sponsoring the show, so they can get their money through that. But other than that, I know what the theme song is for Hell in a Cell, but I didn't know what it was. And I found out it's October 26th. So basically, it's 3 weeks from Sunday. Well, that's great considering there's not one match or anything announced for it. And I've seen some rumors online that says that Brock Lesnar may not actually be at this Hell in a Cell, which, you know what, kind of makes sense. Maybe that's why it seems like the main storyline that's going right now is for a triple threat Hell in a Cell with Cena, Rollins, and Ambrose. A couple of things that I just could not believe. First of all, Rollins was actually decent mic-wise on Raw, and then in SmackDown, he did this. With a head shake angry thing, it's like, come on, that was awful. What are you doing there? And I hate to say this because, like I said, I really do like Cena a lot more than the internet crowd does. But it seems like some of Ambrose's coolness just goes away by hanging out with Cena. He just sort of seeps the coolness out of Ambrose, and I didn't think that was easy to do, but there's almost like an overexposure I'm feeling of Ambrose, and I love the guy. I think part of it is that a lot of the stuff he's saying, even though it's well delivered, isn't that great. I don't know. Right now, WWE is in the transitional period. They have a lot of guys who aren't ready, and they have a lot of guys who are too old, and they're just an in-between. Now, I know it's not their fault that Daniel Bryan went down and now Roman Reigns went down, and I know they had a lot of eggs in those baskets. Maybe that's the issue, but I just feel like they could do so much better. Right now, there is more talent on this roster than at any other time. That I don't think there's any question. I think there are more athletes, more guys with more mic skills than ever before. I mean, a lot of people might say, oh, well, it was way more interesting in the Attitude Era. Well, maybe it was more interesting, but they didn't have the same kind of athletes and the guys who could go in the ring and the ring quality that you could get now. That they did not have. That I can say for sure. They might have had more personality back then, but that might have just been because it wasn't PG. They were allowed to do more back then, which made it more interesting. Now I think that it's so vanilla. There's a lot that they can't do, but the storylines could be so much better. So instead of just tearing it down, like I said, there's a couple things that I wanted to say, but I'm going to do this one a little bit different. We're going to do what the WWE is going to do over the next 5 months, until WrestleMania, and what I think is going to happen over the next 5 months. So it's two different things. This is what they should do, and this is what they're going to do. Okay? So right now, this is where it gets exciting right now. Before I get into what the WWE is going to do, let's first talk about and this is funny, the Hell in a Cell Wikipedia definition. Hell in a Cell will feature professional wrestling matches involving different wrestlers from pre-existing scripted feuds, plots, and storylines that play out on WWE's primary television programs. Raw and SmackDown. Wrestlers will portray heroes or villains as they follow a series of events that build tension and culminate in a wrestling match or series of matches. You know, that would be great if they actually told stories. And I think that's the problem that WWE is having right now, is telling stories. That's where they struggle. So this is what the WWE is going to do with their lack of storytelling. They will have a triple threat match at Hell in a Cell. That's where they're going. Cena, Ambrose, Rollins, which sounds fun until you think about who has to win that match, and then obviously Cena has to win because he needs to look strong going into the rubber match with Lesnar. And that's what sucks about it. So yeah, I don't think Lesnar's even going to be in this pay-per-view, which is terrible, and that's what we'll talk about what they should do later on. So then we go into Survivor Series for the rubber match. Probably be some sort of Extreme Rules match, some sort of crazy stipulation going on. Lesnar will win. He will win. And then, after Lesnar wins, we will go into table, ladders, and chairs. And he'll have another match against maybe like an Ambrose or something by that time, because it has to be someone other than Cena. And I know right now Ambrose is probably the number 2 guy in the list, but Ambrose isn't going to win. So it'll be a good match, though. So then we go into Royal Rumble. Honestly, I don't even know if Lesnar is at the Rumble, because I think he needs to miss dates, obviously. Like, I think he's going to miss Hell in a Cell, so I don't even know if he's going to be at the Royal Rumble. So who's going to win the Royal Rumble? Well, it's obvious. It's going to be Roman Reigns. I think Reigns will be out until then, and that's about 4 months, and I think that's a legitimate time for him to heal up all of his wounds. Reigns is going to win the Royal Rumble. So, do we have Reigns versus Lesnar? Probably yes. I think at this point they have no other choice. They probably hope that Daniel Bryan, magically heals himself between now and then. That's probably what they're praying happens. But and then if he comes back, they can work in some sort of storyline around that he could come back that way. But if he doesn't, I think that's where they're going, and I hate it. I can't stand it. And that's just the main event picture. Okay, now here's what I think they're going to do with the rest of this as we go down. I think they're inching towards and I think this is a bad idea too, the Intercontinental and United States champion merging. I think they're going to have one secondary title, and I don't think that's a good idea. I think more titles, if well promoted and well used and using for, strength of character, for lack of a better term, is a good thing. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to combine them. And I think that's what they're going into. I don't know if it'll be done by WrestleMania, or maybe even WrestleMania will be the time where they combine them. Who's going to have them then? I don't know. Because they've lost their luster. That's the problem. Those belts have lost what they used to be. They used to mean so much more. If you look at some of the legendary guys who had that Intercontinental Championship, man, really, before Orton and Cena, you know what I mean? None of those guys who ever held it does it. It means nothing. It really does. It's just not. I mean, they never go anywhere. Honestly, a lot of times that's the pinnacle of their careers, and they never get to where they used to be. So, but I think that's what they're going to do. I do think, and I would do this too, but I do think that there's going to be a tag team renaissance. I think that is something that Triple H really wants to happen, and I think in order to keep a lot of the characters on television, okay, they need to keep that, and I think there is going to be an influx of more tag teams coming through NXT. So I will think there will be a flux there, and that's something that I would do as well. What else are they doing? I think they're grossly going to misuse Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose, and they don't give them enough promo time. They will not. They don't. I mean, right now they're obviously pushing Luke Harper for a singles career, which makes no sense right now. They don't need to do that right now. Not yet. Not yet. And I'm not saying he couldn't do it someday. Because really, I think the money would be in a Wyatt family breakup, kind of like the Shield did. And I know that's probably like, well, that's lazy booking, but that's where I would go with it. So, okay, you push Luke Harper. Well, where's he going to go? What's he going to do? And it's not that I don't like Luke Harper, because I think he's an extraordinarily well-gifted big man, and I do like his promo skills are underrated. I've seen some of the stuff he did on the indie scene. But, okay, so what do we do with Rowan? What's Eric Rowan do now? He's not in the tag team. He's just going to be walking around with a sheep mask all the time. I don't know what's going to happen to him. There's a lot of issues with that, so I don't know where you go with that. So I think those guys are going to continually be underused, and I know there's all kinds of talent down there in NXT, but I think they're going to just Bo Dallas them into the, you know what I mean? I mean, Bo Dallas just gets up and he's just a random schmuck who can't even get on SmackDown, because I just watched SmackDown and he wasn't on the show. Yeah, so that's not very promising. But since this is my show, let's do some fantasy booking, and I'll tell you what they should do.
Jason's Fantastic Wrestling World.
Okay, now here's what should happen. They should pay extra money to Lesnar, do whatever they got to do to get him to Hell in a Cell, and he's got to drop the belt, and he's got to drop the belt then. You can't have the belt on Lesnar if he's not going to be on TV. It hurts the product. It hurts it. It just makes it not seem important. You can't say, oh, well, we can have a main event feel. Well, that works if you have a lot of main event characters around them, but they don't. Okay? So, and also, if they're not going to have Heyman, and I think that's another reason why they're keeping Heyman off the TV, because he's saying the same stuff over and over again, even though he's very great, good at what he says. You can only say so much about Brock Lesnar is this, you can only say it so much, okay? So, they need to take the belt off of Lesnar. Now, in the way it works right now, how do we do it? Well, here is what I would do. I would have Cena beat Lesnar at Hell in a Cell, but Cena gets so beat up and distraught that Rollins wins the belt. Now, do I like Rollins as a champion? Hell to the no. I do not like that at all. But if you look at the history of WWE, there's a lot of champions that you forget were champions. Isn't that right, Dolph Ziggler? Yeah, you know what I mean? So, Rollins doesn't have to have it very long. Now, do I think Ambrose is the guy to take it from him? No, I do not. So you know who is? And you're going to hate this, but I think this is where they have to go right now because these guys aren't ready. The correct answer is Randy Orton. Randy Orton is going to be, and I think that I actually should have had this in the last segment where what's WWE going to do? They're going to turn Randy Orton face. I can see it coming. He's doing face things. He's doing less heelish things. And then when Randy Orton turns face, he can take the belt from Rollins at the next pay-per-view. Obviously sick of cleaning up his messes and just a straight turn on Rollins. And that's an easy thing to do. So then Randy Orton has the belt as a face, as much as a face could Randy Orton can be, as the girls go gaga over him. So, you've got Randy Orton as the face. So now, what do you do? Well, then you can feud Randy Orton with Brock Lesnar. Is that exciting? No, not really. I do understand that. But it gets us more time, because that's what they need right now. They need time, and they need Cena away from the main event scene. Now, who do you feud Cena with? Well, the easy answer is Wyatt. But they already did that, and it really, really took down Wyatt. So, do you let it be Ambrose? No. Because I think Ambrose and Wyatt should be the guys to have the program together. That is compelling. That is good stuff. And that would be fantastic. And I don't think anybody could disagree. The promos that those two guys could shoot back and forth would be phenomenal. That's what they need to do there. Again, are they going to do it? No, they're not going to. So this still leaves us with Cena. Well, what's Cena going to do? I'd take him off TV. I'd take him off TV completely for a couple of months. Now, Cena could heal up, get better. He's an old man, okay? Get him off TV altogether. And I know that, the company would be like, well, we can't do that, head booker Jason. We're losing too much money. I'm not saying for a long time. Bring him back for Royal Rumble. Bring him back in January. And then I think you can have an actual program of Reigns coming back in the Rumble and Cena coming back in the Rumble. And then, who's going to win? A lot of surprises of what's happening. Maybe even, dare I say it, a Daniel Bryan coming back in the Rumble. And no matter how hurt Daniel Bryan is, he could come back in the Rumble and not do a lot. You could protect him in a Royal Rumble situation. You know what I'm saying? I could do it. So that's what WWE needs to do. They need to fire all of their writers and bookers and let me do it, because, come on, tell me that wouldn't be exciting. If you saw those three guys after not seeing them on TV for 2 or 3 months, and then they show up at Royal Rumble, boom shakalaka. I just nailed the best Royal Rumble of all time. That's how you do it. And like I said, who would I have win the Royal Rumble? Ambrose. And you know why? Because I think Ambrose should turn heel at that Royal Rumble. That's what I would do. Because I think Ambrose's best work you haven't seen yet. Because I think he can be one of the best heels of all time. I'm talking like Ric Flair. That's what Ambrose has in him. Right now, the way they booked him, they made him into a face, which is, he's done way better than I thought he could do as a face. But you wait until you see Ambrose as a heel, because he will do some of his best work as a heel. Other thing that's going to happen in WrestleMania, Triple H and Sting. That's what's going to happen. Sting's going to have his match. I think it's going to be against Triple H, because I think Undertaker's not going to come around. Could be wrong, but I think Undertaker's done. I really, really believe it. So I think that you're going to see a Sting to Triple H, and that could be in the other one, because I think that's what's going to happen both ways. That's what I would do too, because you got to have Sting have a WWE moment. You have to have it, and I think WWE's going to do that because they need Sting in, and they don't have anybody else to go against, and some legendary guy would be Triple H, obviously. So there you go. So I hope that covers all of your questions, but that's the way they're going right now. Or at least that's what I would do, the second part of it. Maybe I was confusing, but I think you understood. So, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm hoping next week we can actually get some Hell in a Cell build-up. I mean, it's only 3 weeks until. And then once we get that, then we can start really talking about where WWE is heading, because I don't even know if they know where